Calling the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. If we could all rise, please, and Mr. Morris will lead us in prayer. Absolutely, sir. The Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity for us to gather together as a group of citizens and officials here in this building. I thank you for this day, and I thank you for all your love and blessings. And Lord, I pray for the activities of tonight. I pray for Mayor Courtney. I pray for the council members, and I pray for each of us citizens out here that have come to give some attention to the activities of this city. And I thank you for this board that operates the city, and they're always doing it on behalf of the citizens. So Lord, I thank you for this time together. I pray everything goes well. And Lord, we would like to, as a group, send up two people that we lost this week. They're both firefighters, and their names are Captain Ransom of the Union Fire Department and Deputy Chief Alexander of the Warsaw Fire Department. So I'd like to pray for these individuals' families, that you would comfort and give them grace during this time. And I pray for the rest of this evening, and thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Katie, if we could get a roll call, please.
Rose Beach, Amy Long, Barb Farrow, Sherry Gaskill.
Here. Gaskill here.
Dan Martin.
Here.
And Matt Brown.
Here.
Thank you. So announcements, August 6th will be the caucus meeting at 6:30 in council chambers at City Hall. August 13th, events planning meeting at 6:15 in the senior center here. August 13th as well, the council meeting at 7 p.m. in the senior center. If we can get an approval of the agenda, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yes.
Rose Beach, Amy Long.
You can skip.
I can skip it all.
Well, you can skip Amy and
Okay.
Barb, yeah.
Barb.
Okay,
So to vote, so Rose will apply.
so Rose Beach, Sherry Gaskill,
Yes.
Dan Martin,
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. On the agenda is the approval of minutes. We do have several meetings listed here. May 2nd, special council meeting, May 7th, special council meeting, May 7th, the caucus meeting, May 9th, the special council meeting, May 14th, council meeting, May 20th, special council meeting.
Okay.
Make a motion to combine as one unit and approve together.
Second.
Rose Beach,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskill,
Yes.
Dan Martin,
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. And we'll go ahead and open it for citizens' comments. Does anyone have anything this evening?
I
Again,
don't have a comment.
Yes, sir.
We're here, we have a question on property right away. Let's see how we can get that straightened out.
okay, what's that,
I
sir?
don't know if this is the time to bring it up or not.
Absolutely, you can go ahead.
Well, my name's Ron Harper, and I live at 120 North Main, which is on the corner of North Main and Sanders. And this is Jackie Cauldron. Cauldron.
Close.
And Jackie lives,
30 years.
yeah, Jackie lives
At 8 Sanders.
at 8 Sanders. So, many years ago, we were called up here.
Basically, when I built my house, there's a right of way between my property and his property. It's on here, it says it's a 12-foot, and this was back, it's been at least 25 years ago. We thought it was all squared away, but apparently nothing has ever been squared away. The whole thing was, the city was gonna give the right of way back to us, and we was gonna split that property. Or that lane that's through there. So we was wondering how we can get that fixed, or if it ever was fixed, where would we find out that information?
probably sound very confusing, but,
But it is, it's been 25 years.
we really didn't really worry too much about it, except now, after all these years, he's leaving me and he's moving to.
I'm going down.
So we'll have a new homeowner back there, and so I thought maybe we could figure out a way to get it straightened out.
Understood. And so the right-of-way is a lane,
I
correct?
can show you here on this,
Mr. Bogan, are you able to add anything, or do you?
possibly.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
The
it.
strange thing is, back when I moved there, that was called Maple. And I don't know how it got changed to Sanders.
Matt Bogan is our city engineer.
Here's,
Well, when Dr. Darden owned this property back in whatever day, but he had it settled, he was gonna make Sanders subdivision. That's where Sanders Drive comes from, the dotted line.
so that was
But-
supposed to be provided.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know where the rest of it is. But he can, it's in here somewhere that there's an alleyway right there.
Oh, very good.
That's,
Mr. Duncan states that he has information he
Yeah.
can share.
The only thing I don't know is that right-of-way that you want abandoned, is it paved?
no.
Is it
Okay,
what?
so it's just a paper alley or a
Yeah,
paper
it's
right-of-way?
just grass.
yeah.
In fact, we were,
And it runs into the railroad tracks, and
Right.
back when I built, we was told, because the subdivision ended up being nixed, it wasn't ever made. But, when I built, we was told that the road will never go over the railroad tracks. It's only 127 foot long, I think is what it is.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, one of you came up to the city building, talked to Giovanna about it, and she asked me about it, and I did the research on it, under the presumption that a former mayor had made a promise to you that he was gonna make sure it would get closed. That was my understanding. I could find no evidence of that, though. We have done some abandonment of paper streets and alleys in the past, but not that. And there's a statute that addresses that if the property owners want it closed, and if the city is agreeable, there's a process you can go through.
okay, well, I guess that's, well, maybe that was as far as we got 25
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, and I've done a few of those in the cities that I represent, and it's a process. The main cost is that you have to have it surveyed and you have to have a legal description for it.
Well, I've just had mine surveyed back in 17.
Your property or that right of
My
way?
property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that would be helpful to the surveyor that
okay.
we would need to employ. Most cities require the property owners who want that property to pay for the survey.
Well, I'm all for it. Now, Jackie's leaving, so he don't care.
Yeah, but if he had half of a 25-foot right-of-way for 127 feet, that would make his property more valuable, so it'd probably
It's
be
already done
worth.
deal. I'm leaving.
Oh.
So I'm just here to back him.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's the process, and then we would adopt an ordinance to abandon or close that right-of-way once we had the legal descriptions and so on. There's paperwork that we have to put
Okay,
together.
Should I just get with you and see what we can work on?
Yeah,
Can you handle that for me?
I can't handle it for you. I can handle it for the city, though. It'd be up to the mayor to determine how much he wants me to be involved.
Can you handle it for him, sir?
I can. If you don't, which surveyor did the survey on your property?
I forget his name.
If he's not available or reasonable, I'm sure Matt Bogan can arrange to have that done.
Let me see what his name is here.
You probably ought to privately,
Andrew R.
Amen?
Haven? Yeah.
You can't beat his price, can you?
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You probably want to talk to the mayor to see what kind of restrictions she would put on it and see if she wants the city to pay for that or if she wants you to pay for it, for the survey. That'll be the biggest expense.
Look at that
We
smile.
don't want to put her on the spot tonight,
No,
but,
I don't need to, I just kidding.
yeah, we'll talk
Sure,
privately
I'll get
about
with
it.
you sometime.
But you've gotten the ball rolling tonight.
Well, good, because, like I said, we really haven't been concerned about it all these years, but, you know, you get a new neighbor in, you don't know what what they may want to do. So, you know, trying to keep any disagreements from even getting started.
If council would agree, then I would hope that potentially you would pay for the surveying of the land, and then we will allow our legal counsel to handle the legal piece of it, to partner with you.
I would be more than delighted.
Okay, does that seem fair? Okay. Do you have concerns, Matt? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Bogan, he has a card for you if you need to get in contact with Mr. Bogan. You probably don't have any on you, do you?
We have surveyors in house, so.
I sure do.
Matt, I'm sorry, can you hand this to him as well?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good deal, all right. So, appreciate it.
Only difference, my wife makes me carry.
That's awesome.
That was
Yeah.
productive. That was productive. I like that.
You can stay if you choose, or you're free to leave if you'd like.
Well, actually, I'm supposed to be at another meeting in Florence at 7, so I might still be able to make part of it.
Okay, well, safe travels, and good luck in Gouge County, sir.
Thank y'all. I'll still be back around, Walton.
That's good to hear.
Too long.
Take care.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
David Hinks, 9 Alta Vista Drive here in Walton. And it's something I wanted to do for years and finally decided to do is just offer my free services to the city. The subject is flag lowering and raising at the city building and also the Veterans Memorial. Sometimes the city misses direction from the president or the governor to have those flags lowered. A lot of the time it's when the flag lowering would happen on a weekend, so staff, I assume, is not available to do it. Where I live, I'm probably one of the closest residents here to the city. I take care of Chambers and Grubbs flag free of charge for them. I do my own at my house. So I'd like to offer that service to you just as not as a primary to do it, but as a backup if the staff is not available, forgets whatever, you come over and lower the flags and then raise them up appropriately. I'm a retired Air Force officer, so I know how to extend the proper courtesies and respect to that. So if you would be agreeable to that, I've drafted up just a draft to this service agreement. I would only do the service if this comes in place to protect myself and the city, so that no one can make any accusation in terms of you providing any sort of compensation to me. That's my offer to you. I've got 3 copies of the draft, and I have emailed this Word document to the city clerk. Ask her to go and delete the email if you don't want to do this, but she has a document, because I'm sure that the attorney and you all want to review this and make sure it's acceptable.
Absolutely, and yeah, we
Great.
appreciate your kind offer.
That's awesome.
At times, when it hits on the weekend, Jerry's had to come in for overtime, and so your offer is so kind and appreciated. May we have those copies?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I'll give them to you. There's 3 copies here, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel no pride of authorship.
I didn't bring my red pen with me.
It's more
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You
Appreciate
can
it.
share,
Thank you, sir.
look at it, and then they can take it. Now, what is his name?
David Higgins.
Okay.
If you all want to check that out. Can I, Brad? Thank you again, sir. Are there any other citizen comments?
I have a comment, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank you for everything you've already done in this short time for our community. You've accomplished a lot already, and I know you're going to do that going forward, and I look forward to you serving in this position for many more years.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other comments? Moving along, so we have our Sheriff's Department, Major Bill Mark.
That's a lot for raising the flag. That's a lot of words.
Well, I feel like you're setting me up to fail. How do I follow and act like that? But it's good being with you all again. Council has a copy of my report, but for the viewing audience, the Sheriff's Office logged a total of 923 law enforcement events in and for the city of Walton in the month of June. Some of those include 7 911 hang-ups. Deputies responded to 23 alarm drops, 4 attempts to locate, 9 animal complaints. Deputies investigated 13 auto accidents, which is a significant decrease from May and from the monthly average for that matter. They logged 32 business checks, attempted to serve 62 civil or criminal summonses. They handled 4 criminal mischief investigations, one of which was the damage to the fence at the city park on High Street. They investigated 13 domestic disputes, 3 complaints of intoxicated persons. They handled 4 emotional crises, 1 juvenile call. They handled 7 motorist assists, 8 requests for information. They logged 432 spot checks, investigated 17 suspicious activity reports. They investigated 3 thefts, logged 15 traffic complaints. And circling back to the traffic complaint on Main Street, on Main Street in the month of June, deputies conducted 6 traffic stops and issued 4 citations. All told, they conducted 33 traffic stops, handled 21 vehicle complaints. We unlocked 3 cars, handled 3 wanted person calls, and all told, they issued 81 citations and made 12 arrests. Any questions I can handle for y'all?
Actually, yes, thank you for all that you do for our community, sir. We recently purchased speed bumps that we're gonna put in place, but there's one area that is receiving complaints about people blowing through the stop sign. Unfortunately, we're not gonna have an opportunity to put a speed hump there, so I just wanted to raise awareness.
Sure thing. Where's that at?
It is Wildcat Run at Walker and Mashburn. And thank you very much.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions for Major Mark? Thank you, sir. Chief Joey Vest with our fire department.
Good evening. In addition to my report tonight, I have a few announcements to make. As far as the report goes, Mayor and Council has a copy of it, but just a brief synopsis. January 1 of 24 through June 30th of 24, the fire departments responded to a total of 909 separate incidents within the fire district. Out of that, 462 of those incidents was within the city limits. That comes to just under 51% of our total run volume being in the city limits. We responded to 5 structure fires within the district, and again, out of the 5, 3 of them was within the city. And we responded to 64 motor vehicle crashes of varying severities. For the month of June, we had 130 separate EMS incidents, 53 fire incidents, 8 motor vehicle crashes, and 1 overdose. Anyone have any questions about the report? Okay.
I just want to share the gratitude of the Florence mayor, who I forwarded along her text message, but your crew was able to respond to the tragedy that occurred in Florence, and I know that wasn't easy on anyone, and she just sent many thanks and appreciation. So thank you for everything you do day in, day out, and you're appreciated.
Thank
as
you.
well as your crew. Yes, sir.
Thank you. A couple things. One, the Walton Fire District is partnering with the Northern Kentucky Health Department, and they are going to be conducting a community health event that will take place on Monday, July 29th. It will be from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and it'll be over here at the fire station on Town Center Drive. I've got some flyers over here on this table at the exit, so please feel free to take one to anyone who's interested. Some of the resources that will be available at this event, free overdose education and naloxone or Narcan being provided for the overdose problem. Free HIV and hepatitis C testing will be offered. Free harm reduction supplies, as well as nicotine cessation assistance and youth wellness resources. So they got a pretty good variety of services and resources to offer to anyone who wants to come. If anyone is interested, it is posted on the fire department's website at waltonfireky.com. And I just gave the assistant city clerk a copy of the flyer, and she said she would attach that onto the city's website as well. So, additionally, the fire district, we have received the American Heart Association's Mission Lifeline certification at gold level again for 2024. And what that is they compile a bunch of information that our personnel provide to people having significant heart attacks and strokes. And they compare that care that was provided and the outcomes of the patients and so on and so forth. And they grade each fire department, EMS agency. There's the bronze level, the silver level, and then the highest level is gold. So in 2021, we obtained the silver level. 2022, they did not give us any kind of grade on it because they said that we did not have enough data for them to come up with a result, so it didn't apply. 2023, and again this year for 2024, we've achieved gold level status both years. So, to me, as fire chief, that is a major accomplishment, and it reflects the services that's being provided to the citizens. Additionally, at our board meeting that occurred in June, there was some representatives from St. Elizabeth Hospital, and they awarded two of our personnel with special recognition. And what it was about was they had taken a patient to St. Elizabeth Hospital who was having a stroke, okay? And St. Elizabeth has a system where they track from the time that EMS makes contact with the patient and they judge the care that was provided pre-hospitalized to the time we get them to the hospital, and then the time that the doctor can actually administer a medication called TPA, tissue plasminogen activator. A lot of people know it more commonly as the clot buster drug that's out there. It's a very narrow window of time that this can be administered, and a lot of things have to be accomplished and achieved both before the patient gets to the hospital as well as when they're in the emergency room. So I have a paramedic, Stephen Knuckles, and an EMT, Jason Balzer. They was the crew that transported the patient, and St. Elizabeth recognized them having the time they got to the patient, recognized what was going on, until the time the TPA drug was actually administered. And I think that time was 47 minutes total for everything being done. And they said it was the fastest time in their entire system, which is not only multi-county, but multi-state, in the multi-make. They received an award on behalf of St. Elizabeth Medical Center as well as the American Heart Association. So, you see these guys and girls out there truly training hard every day, trying to improve the services and patient care they can offer. Just like to thank the folks aware of what's going on.
Thank you, sir. I think all of that there is worthy of an applause, so thank you so much.
And a tentative date for the open house. Next month's meeting, it should be set in stone, but right now it looks like it's going to be on October 12th. So, and that's going to be an open house where should have our 2 new engines. It all continues to go well. But, you know, we'll open the place up, maybe have some food, beverages, and just invite citizens in, come up, meet folks from our department, serve you, and ask questions, hang out, and get to know them. All right? Nobody has anything? Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, can anybody, buy Narcan over the counter?
Yes, Narcan can now be sold over the counter without a prescription. All you have to have is the right amount of money and go to a pharmacy and you can buy it.
Okay.
If anyone gets Narcan and they do not feel comfortable with administering it, any questions, uncertainties, whatnot, you're more than welcome to come to the firehouse and we can give you a little crash training course on how to administer it, do's and don'ts, and, you know, things that it would be more effective if you did administer it without making certain mistakes. So. Anyone else? All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And our city engineer, Matt Bogus.
Everyone. Excuse me. So our monthly update on the High Street Bridge, last month, we just met with Duke Energy. They let us know that a couple of their poles had been, the anchors had been moved or potentially in the way. We got those locations, resurveyed, an update on the plan. It's sent back to Duke so they can follow up with the railroad on the permitting. From our standpoint, there was minimal impact. On the east side of the road, I had to shift the sidewalk over 5 feet because there was an anchor, but it would have been in the way. The sidewalk would have been accessible, but doesn't change anything else for us. On our road projects, Wriggler was able to get an early start on the resurfacing work. Previously, they were planning to not start until the beginning of August, but they had some other jobs shift around, so they have been starting with the repairs on the T turnaround at the end of Coopland Drive. And we've also been, Jerry and I have been working with them to try and make some adjustments on the scope of work to, free up funds for repairs that are needed. So we'll, I don't have numbers for all those yet, but hopefully next month I'll have idea of what we can save on one area and move to something else. On Shepherd Way, we had a complaint come in about street creep. This has come up before, back in 2018. Without getting into too much nitty-gritty on it, it's an issue that happens a lot on concrete streets where the weight of the pavement over time will start to, on long, straight downhill stretches, will eventually exert a force on any homes that are at the bottom of that hill or in front of the driveways. Like I said, we tried to address it previously. It's starting to become an issue again, and there's at least one home that had some damage on the foundation. So with Wriggler in town, Jerry and I talked to him about it a little bit. We're going to get some numbers to do some more repairs to try and keep that movement at bay. Pretty much just be cutting out a strip of the concrete in probably a couple locations and replacing it with a small section of asphalt pavement. Will compress more than the concrete and act like a large expansion joint. So try and get that resolved soon. And then the concrete panel replacement contract that we spoke about last month, that is in bid right now. Bid opening will be next Friday. We'll get some good prices on that. We are also bidding out the first phase of the multi-use pay-up at the Owens Park property. That's going to go from the house around the north and east side of the lake and then at the spillway. That also has a bid opening next Friday. And then I know we've got the water and sewer moratorium on the agenda tonight for first reading. I've started to get some questions, some calls and questions from developers and their engineers about exactly how that's going to work. You may need some fine tuning on the language there, just to really nail down what type of development, redevelopment is covered and what is not. We're getting a lot of calls now about properties that were previously permitted for a concept development plan, and individual properties within that have not been touched. But development is proposed for the near future, and they want to make sure that whatever agreements were made are still going to be honored by the city. Just to make sure that the order addresses that. Any council questions?
I'm not sure if I asked you or her, but the library building now that's empty, do we know what's going to happen with it, or who's going to?
The school is taking that.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know that.
And for the bids, sir, just so for everyone's knowledge, they would be seen on the city website as well as the Link Northern Kentucky
Right.
online news.
That's right.
Is there a third outlet, or are those the only two?
I believe those are the only two. We used to post through the Inquirer, but I don't think anymore. I think it's just Link and the website.
Any other questions for Mr. Bogan?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll jump right into city business. We're going to switch up the order this evening as requested. So we're going to start with number 2. And this ordinance is 2024-10, the first reading, an ordinance of the City of Walton, Kentucky, approving the proposed goals and objectives of the Boone County Comprehensive Plan, our Boone County Plan 2045. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is, that was the title to the ordinance. This ordinance is patterned after the one that we did back in 2017. It basically recites that the Boone County Planning Commission has initiated the Plan 2045 Comprehensive Plan. The first step in that is goals and objectives, which are required to be reviewed, amended, or approved by each of the legislative bodies. I believe the other legislative bodies have already approved it. There is a copy of the proposed goals and objectives and the report of the Long Range Planning Committee that did most of the work, and also the resolution of the Planning Commission itself. You have representatives here tonight. They presented to you at caucus last week, and I believe they're here tonight in case you have further questions. So that's the title and summary. Up to council.
Make a motion to approve as written.
I motion to table.
Second.
Before you vote on that, do you have any questions of the representatives?
I do not.
Planning
We
Commission?
had a meeting on Tuesday, and it was a holiday weekend, so I do not have any questions.
Rose Beach,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yes.
Dan Martin,
No.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
We move on to ordinance 2024-09, the first reading, an ordinance of the City of Walton, Kentucky, prohibiting all cannabis businesses' operations in the city as permitted by KRS 218B.130. Mr. Duncan?
Thank you, Mayor. That is the title to the ordinance. By summary, the legislature in the last two sessions have adopted bills, both in the 2023 and the 2024 session. First, legalizing the use of medical cannabis by those who are prescribed that with their medical provider and if they have a medical card. That's not what we're up to tonight, though. That is the background. The bills also authorizes cannabis business operations to be undertaken if the city or the county allows it. This ordinance, if adopted, would make a statement of the city of Walton that it would not be in the best interest of the city and its citizens to have cannabis operations within the city, and also adds that such would be an additional burden on the city's water distribution and wastewater treatment systems, which we'll talk about further later. So by adopting this ordinance, you would be prohibiting the business of medical cannabis sales and manufacturing and so on within the city limits. So you typically vote on first reading. You can do that tonight if you like.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Bruce Beach.
One second. Yeah,
Discussion.
absolutely. If there's questions or discussion.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, so if I read right, there's also another ordinance on the docket for a moratorium on water and sewer, right? So is this just like beating the same drum twice here? Or is there another reason besides water? If you're already covering a new business moratorium, that you would want to then also do a second ordinance for just the campus?
So the county, Mr. Duncan, feel free to correct me at any point. The county has opted out, right? And so we follow the way of the county unless we vote ourselves. And there's a few things at play here. If someone, a citizen, were to put it on the ballot for the county and now it's an opt-in because the citizens vote, then without us doing anything, then we, again, would follow the way of the county. Unfortunately, none of us really want to dictate what our citizens are able to use for medicinal purposes, but where we're at with our infrastructure, that we're concerned that a grow operation potentially couldn't be supported here because of water and sewer. So is it redundant? It may seem that way, but if we do nothing, then we will follow the way of the county, which may not be in our best interest. Mr. Duncan, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that there are two different topics. The water and sewer moratorium later addresses the global issues of water and sewer in the city. This is focused strictly on medical cannabis. As the mayor pointed out, if we end up under any of those scenarios where we're forced to allow medical cannabis, especially growing, we would have to supply the water whether we have a moratorium or not. So it's two different topics and two different votes, and it's up to council to determine.
And John, I think what you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're saying if we're for medical cannabis, why don't we go ahead and approve that because a moratorium would eliminate something new coming in. Is that correct, or is I'm simplifying it too much?
No, I just, if you're already covering a growth moratorium, right, until you have infrastructure in place, then I feel like you're just doing the same thing twice. If I'm trying to own a business, I'm gonna come into Walton, I'm gonna do all the exploratory work first. What are taxes? Is there water and sewer, all that? When you say no, then I probably go to another city. I just think it's being so much. You guys, the city can't support it. It is what it is.
And it's unfortunate because right now it's all or nothing, right? So we can't just choose to elect to have a dispensary for our citizens. If we opt in, then we potentially it could get a dispensary, or we may get a grow operation. What are the other two, Mr. Duncan?
Well, one of them is the oversight to make sure that the products that are being manufactured meet the state specifications. And there's also the production part of it after the grow.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Does that help?
It does.
Are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
Did we not have someone in here a few months ago to address the water going forward in the city of Walton, where we are approaching the amount that the EPA will allow us to get away with what we're doing before they force us to do something else? To increase the amount of water in the city?
Yeah, you're not mistaken, but
Pardon me?
you're not mistaken, Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Dan.
It's, and we all need, we're all in agreement here, we need more water, more sewer. But it's just a time frame and the money getting in. That's what we're working on right now. Sherry's got meetings coming up here, as well as other council members, so.
I guess my point is, the more things we bring in to put a demand on water and sewage, the sooner we're gonna have to do something.
Absolutely.
And if we can't do it right now or in the near future, we need to plan further out, then we need to prevent those things from happening now to help us in the future.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and on the agenda
Absolutely.
tonight is what we're calling the moratorium, which will limit new business until we have our water and sewer infrastructure to where it needs to be. So for those who haven't been a part of those conversations, currently right now, the water need is around 5 million plus. The sewer need is anywhere between $9 and $11 million plus, and that's at today's rate, so that by the time the wheels are in motion and we get there, we're probably looking at many more millions. So as council, as Dan stated, council's looking into grants and trying to potentially secure funds so that we can develop our infrastructure for the future needs.
Thanks for looking forward and working on it.
Yes, sir. So we did have a motion and we did have a second, correct? Katie, we can continue. Thank you.
Rose Beach. Yes. Sherry Gaskell. Go.
Yes.
Dan Martin.
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. The next will be Municipal Order 2024-05, a municipal order of the City of Walton, Kentucky, appointing and approving Dave Ralph as a member of the Union-Walton Joint Code Enforcement Board for the remainder of Jordan Simmons's 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2025.
Mayor, this one, number 3, 4, and 5 are all related to action that we took at the previous council meeting where you made the appointments and council approved it. So what I did after that meeting is drafted up these municipal orders as a matter of documenting the action that was already done. So we don't need to vote on these. These are just informational items for tonight.
Understood.
I believe you've already been sworn in too, right?
She has, I haven't.
Okay.
I was not up there, but she was ill and, or gone, and now she's ill, so.
Yeah.
But-
So that explains why they're on the agenda. It's just an informational item to document the action we took at the last meeting.
So we're able to go to 6, I guess?
Yeah, go to 6.
Municipal Order 2024-08, a municipal order for the City of Walton, Kentucky, instituting a moratorium on new construction in the Walton Water and Sewer Service Area, effective immediately until new facilities are constructed to improve Walton's water distribution and wastewater treatment systems. Mr. Duncan?
Yes, Mayor, you read the title, and that pretty much states it. By further summary, I would say that the city is aware that we are nearing our design limit of both water and sewer. As the gentleman pointed out, we've had those studies done, and we're taking action to investigate increasing the available capacity for both of the systems, looking for money and looking for grants and low-interest loans and so on. But if we do not put the brakes on construction that's not already approved, we will not be serving the existing city citizens and businesses because we'll run out of water and we'll run out of sewer capacity. So what this does is puts a moratorium. Paragraph 2 says that construction may proceed as permitted on previously approved development plans, and redevelopment of existing lots may be permitted if there is no significant change in land use or increase in water, sanitary sewer demand. I would further state that, as Mr. Bogan pointed out, that language may need to be adjusted in the future as we evaluate what those previously approved development plans really entail. We have both had conversations with engineers and developers that are basically stating that they were guaranteed capacity when they started their development, so we'll need to evaluate those claims. But for now, in order to put this into effect, you need to take a vote on it.
Thank you, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Bruce Beach,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yep.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm sorry, sir.
I guess is the way it's worded, clear enough that if you're already in construction, building something, that would not be cut off?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, any developments where the city has issued, we've reviewed the plans, the respective counties, has reviewed site plans, and we've issued a water and sewer capacity letter through the Division of Water, you're good to proceed with construction. So I presume you're asking about the school?
Yeah, of course, I don't know, did we jump through all the hoops yet?
You did.
All right.
Yeah, the ones where there was more of a gray area, the one that we today is the Logistics Park 75 development on Richard Knox Highway. There are 2 properties remaining that have not been developed, and their engineer contacted us and was going to submit plans for just grading those properties. Grading pad for eventual construction, putting in detention ponds. So nothing that would actually use utilities, but I also did not want to approve those, then have them follow up in a couple months and say, okay, we're ready to build a building, and then the city turns around and says, no, you're not. In the course of talking to them, they said that there was an agreement in place back in 2012 when that land was annexed into the city, stating that the city would reserve utility capacity for that development. So that's the kind of the gray area that Mr. Duncan and I are going to investigate a little further is what was promised to them, to the developer, and was the city supposed to, did the city have a responsibility to maintain that utility capacity indefinitely until those individual lots were developed. So those are that's kind of the gray area that we have now.
I have some more information for you. I sent you an email late this afternoon. You'll see that when you get back to your computer.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I just want to add, we're here to support Mr. Bogan. We get a lot of calls, as you know, wanting to know development and so forth, and we'll work with the city engineer on that, and then obviously any assistance that you need in terms of the expansion, you need our help, we're happy to help you in any manner with Mr. Bogan, whether it's water, sanitary, sewer. And we'll coordinate all that activity with the building department.
Can you coordinate the reception of $20 million so we can do all that?
I don't have a big enough wallet for that, I'm sorry. But, well, again, if you're applying for grant applications, we'll help you with that.
I have.
You can.
I have.
So we'll be happy to, it's very important that you have centers.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Duncan may have probably based on what you read earlier, sir, I think in paragraph 2 where, and you mentioned that some of that language needs to be rewritten or clarified in any way. That the one point that struck me, and Mr. Bowman sort of alluded to it too, is that not all construction will affect utilities. And so hopefully that language can better explain what the significant impact to water infrastructure would be, a percentage increase or decrease. Instead of the word significant, it makes decisions like for the planning commission much easier too if it's a defined parameter there. So probably already consider that, maybe if it's already what you mentioned, just in case. Thanks.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, so I know we've talked in the past a lot around payroll tax right? So when you're looking at options, how's that? Right, because here's the deal, no one wants to, if I own land in the city and I wanna build on it, like, and I didn't already do it, like, I'm not happy, right? I may take my business elsewhere. Or businesses, are looking to expand, and they say, man, Walton would be a great place. They're only gonna hold on for so long before they decide to go somewhere else. So, you know, we can look all we want, but we gotta take some action, right? You know, and listen, you can bond, you can do all the things you need to do, but when it comes to revenue, obviously we know we were significantly low on property taxes, right? And that's been probably a reason for a long time, right? It'll balance out one of the higher school taxes in the state for our residents. And so there's only so many other options that we can do. We're at the peak of receiving our money through the insurance taxes that we get. We're already at the top where we go there. We really don't want to raise property taxes. So what are the other options?
I was just talking to Mr. Duncan about this earlier, as of a payroll tax, because we have to have money to do what we need to do.
Yeah, the surrounding cities do have a payroll tax.
Yep.
And the last time we looked at the percentages of Walton residents that work in Walton versus live in Walton, you had very high numbers of people who do not live in Walton, working in Walton, right?
Correct.
That's what the payroll tax is. Is there some, like, do I hate to look across at Rose, who scanned my groceries the other day, and say, hey, Rose, I want you to pay a payroll tax for, you know, putting that in the bag? I don't want to do that, right? But that's a smaller percentage of our citizens, for the larger majority that come into Walton, use our services, and then take their tax money back with them back home. So again, I would just challenge the council to be thinking globally on this and to move as quickly as possible so that we don't stifle business in a time when, depending on the political climate, come November, maybe not.
And I appreciate your input, and it's always valued. And not speaking for council, but we've had this discussion many times, and I believe the majority of us, if not all, are on board. I did reach out to the North Kentucky Area Development District just to see if they would do a new study for us. Yeah, thank you, sir. Because to your point, last time we learned that greater than 90% of the people working in Walton were not Waltonians. And to your point, it's our infrastructure and it's our costs. For example, Mr. Bogan could tell us better than I how many times we've resurfaced town center, and we're going to do it again, right? And it's because of the trucks moving in and out back there. And unfortunately, that falls on the citizens. So yes, we understand there's an urgent need. I believe that we're all on board. It's a matter of someone introducing the legislation. I'm not sure that I've reached out 2 or 3 times to North Kentucky Area Development District asking for that study. If it's going to take 6 months to a year, it's probably not necessarily to our benefit to get the study, because we already know there's a need, and we already know that the majority of the people who work here are not our citizens. We also know that taxes aren't necessarily welcome, but to your point, John, the city has been overly kind to the citizens, and the fact that we've always kind of curtsied to the school and allowed the school to take that lion's share, where we didn't want to put that new tax amount on our households here. So we're definitely going to have to do something, and that's one thing that's been talked about several times as a revenue generator is the occupational tax.
Yeah, one other small thing to consider is that the Dick Knock property, all that logistics, whatever it's called, what's it called? Park 75. That's a TIF district, right? And so the faster that money gets paid back, the faster, when that bill's paid, that's $15 million and paid off through, they have a payroll tax inside of that plaza. They have, obviously, and all the other taxes, right? So they're taking the lion's share of that until they get back 15 million. So if we don't allow them to build that there, it's the longer that the citizens don't get the benefit of those tax dollars.
Dan, you were going to say something?
No, I think it'll be on the agenda, the payroll tax, in the next couple months. I know how me and Sherry feel about it. I haven't talked to all of council, so I can't speak for them, but it'll be brought up in caucus, definitely. And I don't think there's any reason to debate it any longer. It's just we either we gotta do it,
It's gonna happen.
yeah.
Take action.
So,
Are there any other comments? We'll move forward with the vote. Katie, thank you.
So Rose Beach,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yes.
Dan Martin,
yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
I just don't know how much. 2%, 2.5%.
Moving along, resolution number 2024-13, a resolution of the City of Walton, Kentucky, rescinding resolution 2024-01, which authorized the city to execute a purchase contract for the IMI real estate located at 40 Depot Street in the city. Mr. Duncan?
Thank you, Mayor. That's the title, and again, it describes pretty much what we're going to do here. Back in January, the former mayor brought to the city council the possibility of purchasing that property. It's on both sides of the street at 40 Depot Street, owned by IMI South. Nothing was done until the day that the mayor resigned the second time, the former mayor resigned the second time. By that time, a lot had changed. That resolution that was adopted that authorized him to go and execute an agreement, it was stated that the terms of that agreement would be brought back to council. They were not. The council at this time, if you adopt this resolution, rescinding that previous resolution, will basically put to bed the notion that we're going to buy that property. And it would release it for that company to sell the property to somebody else. So you can rescind that and put this to bed by passing a motion to adopt this resolution.
Are there any questions or comments before we move forward? Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you just explain how it went from giving the mayor the opportunity to negotiate to then the city giving a company a check without council?
I cannot.
So this council never voted to buy that piece of property?
It was in the budget, and then we had a vote in January to purchase it with understanding we were going to negotiate a better rate.
Well, the vote in January, in my understanding, Mr. Duncan, correct me if I'm wrong, it was to go into talks. So he was permitted by council to go into talks to negotiate the price. But to what Mr. Duncan stated, he was supposed to bring that back to council prior to the purchase, and that did not occur. Would that be correct?
Negotiation meaning he can go and talk to them, and if they came back with a price of $5, this council would say, sure, let's buy it, right? If they came back to $5 million, you'd say, look, after that.
The resolution did allow him to enter into a contract, to work out the terms and enter into a contract, but it did not authorize him to close on the property.
And Counselor, just to clarify, if we change our mind in the future and want to purchase the property if it's still available, nothing prohibits us from passing another resolution to that effect.
Absolutely. If it's still available and you can come to terms,
Yep.
you can buy it.
Make a motion to approve resolution?
Second.
Rose Beach,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yes.
Dan Martin,
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution number 2024-14, a resolution of the City of Walton, Kentucky, rescinding Resolution 2023-04, which authorized the city to execute a lease agreement with the Walton Fire Protection District for use of a portion of the Owens real estate for a training and education center.
And Mayor, again, that's the title to the resolution. The resolution itself recites that the city did pass that resolution, which authorized a lease to be undertaken for part of the property over at the Owens Lake property. It's my understanding that the city and the fire district are now no longer interested in pursuing that. And this resolution would rescind the previous resolution and go back to status quo that the property will be a park.
Are there any questions or comments?
Chief's back there nodding. I guess he agreed with what I just said.
And I just want everybody to clearly understand, this was a mutual agreement based on some further exploration, I guess, and change in circumstances over the last couple of years. You know, there is some animosity or hard feelings as far as this from either side. The mayor had some discussions about it, and we both agreed that it would be best for the community and the citizens as well as the city and the fire department. I have some different options available that I think will prove to be better in the long run. So,
Thank you, Chief.
I do appreciate the current mayor, city council, as well as the previous mayor, for working with me and working with the fire department, trying to help out.
Take off from Mr. Martin's comments before, I mean, if things change, we can always revisit it if the city and the fire district wants to.
Sure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Rose Beach. Sherry Gaskell.
Yes.
Dan Martin.
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Next item of business is to declare the log cabin at the Owens Lake surplus property. Mr. Duncan?
Yes. As you all know, there is a log cabin that has been sitting out in nature, somewhat unprotected all this time. It is not in the plans of the city as it develops the park up there to use that log cabin. You may want to reuse the foundation. So what this will do is declare that cabin surplus property so that instead of just demolishing it and burning up the remnants, we have put out requests for proposals for someone to come in and actually buy the cabin and reuse whatever wood they can get out of it and clean the mess up and leave the foundation. The next item on the agenda is consideration of the one sole bid that we got. So in order to be able to sell the cabin, we need to declare it surplus first. That would need a motion.
Motion to.
Second that.
Prior to the vote, I just want to share, if you don't mind, thank you, sir. This is a win for our community. I appreciate Matt. He's worked hard to try to move our lake property along so that our community can use it as a park. We have to tear down the building. It's a safety issue. And our first thought was to have our public works gentlemen go in with their labor, our equipment, or renting equipment to tear it down. And that would be at a cost of the taxpayers, right? Because of their production, their time, us renting the equipment. So instead what we did was Matt realized the beauty and the value of the inside of the cabin. It's gorgeous wood, stone fireplaces, to put it out to bid to see if someone would be willing to buy it, come in, break it down, take it apart, and leave it at the foundation. So it again, is not costing us money with our resources. So just a win for everyone, and I just wanted to share that bit so there was an understanding of what was occurring here. And we had a motion in a second, correct?
Rose Beach.
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell.
Yes.
Dan Martin.
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
And further review.
Right. The next item on the agenda is what I just referred to. It's review and award the bid for demolition salvage of the log cabin at Owens Lake. As I indicated, we did put a request for proposal in the paper with more specifics on the city's website. We did receive one bid. So instead of us paying $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 to remove the cabin and dispose of it, we have an offer of $100 from, and they don't have to pay any more, and we don't have to pay them. They're going to pay us $100, and then they can take whatever they want of it and clean up the mess and so on. I do not have the bid with me, though. Hopefully the assistant clerk
Dark
does.
Region Farm.
You got it? Okay. Who is it?
Dark Region Farm.
Yeah, and it's for $100, correct?
$100.
Yeah.
End date is supposed to be completed by August 5th.
So to
motion
accept
approve.
that.
August 5th?
August 5th,
You're
yes.
gonna do that quick?
This year?
Yes.
Make a motion and accept. Bruce Beach. Yes. Sherry Gaskell.
Yes.
Dan Martin.
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely, that's,
Yes, sir.
that's a win.
Thank you, Terry.
So, review award bid for cable television franchise. Mr. Duncan?
Yes. If you recall, a month or two ago, we adopted an ordinance to create a new cable television franchise pursuant to Kentucky law and our Kentucky Constitution. Every utility who uses our public right-of-ways needs to have a franchise to be able to operate there, and in this case, continue to operate because Spectrum's franchise had expired. So we put that out for bid, advertised it according to law, and we did receive a bid from Charter Communications operating as Spectrum, and they have submitted a franchise agreement with it. This was the only bid we received, and so it's my recommendation that you accept the bid, and then we will work on getting the franchise agreement all worked out, and then I'll have an ordinance for you in the future to adopt. So that would take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Rose Beach. Yes. Sherry Gaskell.
Yes.
Dan Martin.
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have on the agenda an executive closed session to go into closed session, but I'm not sure that's necessary or needed. If so, then we'll move forward. Good?
Good.
Very good. So we are down to council comments. Rose, do you have anything?
No, this time.
Thank you. Matt?
Thanks, everybody, for coming. It was a good crowd, so thank you.
Sherry?
I'm good for now.
Dan?
I don't have anything.
Last bit, mayor comments. I just want to just show appreciation for everyone being here this evening. Thank you. It takes a village. It takes a lot of people to get the best out of our small town. So for those who support and continue to support, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Thank you for being here.
Motion to adjourn.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good evening, all.
Are you just going to recycle all
When do I do that ordinance for that